A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
has been provided by advertising such notice in the Home News Tribune, the Asbury Park Press, the board office, the schools, and on Cablevision Channel 118 and Verizon Files Channel 24, and by filing such notice with the Township Clerk. This meeting was scheduled for Tuesday, April 25th, 2023. The board will take formal action on payment of bills and other agenda items. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Giordano. The Old Bridge Township Board of Education acknowledges that the law of this state establishes that members of the public, including members of the board, have the right to record public board meetings using audio or video recording devices, provided that that act of recording does not interfere with the business of this public board meeting. Therefore, the board makes it known that any such recording is to be considered the private recording of the individual and in no manner represents the official record of this board. The board therefore takes no responsibility for such private recording and completely disavows any future use.
Roll call.
Ms. D'Antono? Ms. Jodry?
Present.
Ms. Lent?
Here.
Mr. Marqueta?
Here.
Mr. Slade?
Here.
Mr. Singh? Mr. Solikowski?
Here.
Mr. Weber? Mr. Giordano?
Here.
Quorum exists.
All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Code of Ethics Corner highlight of the month. The board. Yes, Mr. Slade volunteers.
Yes.
Correct.
The board member will refuse to surrender his or her independent judgment to special interest or partisan political groups, or to use the schools for personal gain or for the gain of friends.
Thank you. And we'll be voting on the approval of minutes. Item number 1. Can I have a motion?
Slater move.
Lentil second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. D'Antono?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Solikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
And Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
Now we'll move on to our report of the student representative to the board.
Hello everyone. I'd love to welcome everyone and share some new information about what has been going on this past month at Old Bridge High School. First off, Student Senate had their hypnotist show starring Brian Elslick. It was a fun night watching students being hypnotized and dancing across the stage. The Senate will have its last bingo night on May 4th. The theme will be Star Wars, and anyone supporting the theme will receive a second bingo card at no extra charge. The Old Bridge High School indoor percussion went to Ohio to compete in the indoor percussion at WGI World Championships. They finished off going strong, ranked nationally 17th in the country. In addition, it was just announced that Something Rotten, the musical, received 18 nominations, including overall production and 3 honorable mentions in the 2023 Central Jersey Marquee Awards. Congratulations. The French program is hosting French exchange students from Nimes. The students arrived here at Old Bridge last week and have been taking classes in the high school with their American student partners. Last Friday, the French program hosted an event called Potluck, where students can bring their own dishes for others to eat together and have fun with dancing and meeting new French exchange students from France. The students will be here until Friday, experiencing what it feels like to be part of the Old Bridge community. Spring sports at Old Bridge have been booming for the Knights, with baseball having a record of 9-3, having a huge win over RBC with a 2-1 score this past Sunday. Volleyball has also been on their hot streak as always, with a 10-0 undefeated record. That shows their dominance throughout the state. This past Saturday, the team won the Knights Invitational Tournament and brought the trophy home to Old Bridge. The track and field team are also looking to compete in pen relays this Thursday, with the Play Unified track team joining them as well. As we enter May, big events are coming up for the high school, such as junior and senior prom. Along with senior days and testing, Battle of the Classes will be held on May 17th in the evening. Preparation has started at the high school with tickets being sold for $10. The $10 also gets you a t-shirt for your class. Tickets are being sold until Friday in both buildings. All the classes are holding practices, and we are looking forward to bringing the energy to the building, with this being the first battle of classes since 2019. This is all for the month of April at Old Bridge High School. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and we'll move on to recognition, items 1 and 2. Can I have a motion?
Joe will move.
D'Antino will second.
All right, Mrs. Sardino.
Thank you, Mr. President. As always, it's one of the best parts of our monthly board meetings is to recognize our students and members of our community for their contributions to our overall school and its programs. First recognition is to recognize some musicians that I believe are here in the audience with us. So move the board to recognize the following students for their selection and performance in the Central Jersey Music Educators Association Regions Band. The Central Jersey Music Educators Association Regions Band is a highly selective audition-only ensemble right here in New Jersey. These students are among the top players in the Central Jersey region. This was also one of our recipient, Andrew's second year being accepted. So can I please have up here to the podium with me, first Ms. Keeler, who oversees our music department, and I know Ms. Lauren Nee is here as well. Mr. Buckle and Ms. Thatcher could not be here this evening, but Ms. Nee can join us as we welcome up our students, Dylan Weiss, Andrew Holguin, and Stephen Franzisi. Come on up, please. Thank you very much. I feel like I need to know more information. Dylan, what is your musical instrument? Dylan is a trumpet player. Very good. Andrew? Another trumpet player. Stephen? Say that again. Euphonium. Excellent. Well, there you go. Congratulations to your career in the arts, and again, making our community proud. Our second recognition is in the area of academics, and this is a student who's, as she's risen up through the elementary grades, has continued to gain accolades from different academic competitions and endeavors throughout the state of New Jersey and beyond. So I'm going to read this motion for recognition. Move the board to recognize Samhita Pukanuri, Old Bridge High School. She's a 10th grader for her selection to represent New Jersey at the 2023 National Junior Honor Society and Humanities Symposium. Samhita presented her research on Saturday, April 15th at the 2023 National Junior Honor Society and won first place in engineering and technology category. Something we'd all be very proud of. Samhita, come on up. Now, Samhita, I'm going to ask you to talk, okay? Because I know you're good at it. And you're keeping me busy because in March you also won 2 regional science competitions as well. And we're just getting to recognize you now. So this is third one since March, third competition since March. Can you talk to everyone, because I wouldn't be able to do it justice, on your research that you presented?
Yeah. Hi everyone, my name is Samita and it's so nice to meet you all. So, first of all, I'd quickly like to thank the Board of Education and Mr. Cittadino for allowing me to be here and talk to you all today. It's truly such an honor. And I'd also like to thank Dr. Sasso for his constant encouragement and support throughout all the Old Bridge students at our school. I'd also like to thank my regional director at the fair, Dean Antoine, for his constant encouragement and support as well throughout my research process and journey. And although it is his last year here, I would love to interact with him in the future as well. So the research I did was on a concept called vertical takeoff and landing. So for example, if you're traveling somewhere on a plane ride or something like that, you might notice that a lot of the times the infrastructure to launch and land your aircraft is very expensive and it's very dangerous as well, especially considering aircraft control that has to allow the aircraft to actually take off and land. So there's this concept called VTOL that is used in a lot of military-based operations and search and rescue-based operations, and it's basically where an aircraft launches and takes down vertically so that you can launch and land in more austere locations, in this cases of like forced fire detection and things like that. So with a lot of existing VTOL advancements, they suffer with either being a manned aircraft or having an infrastructure-based launch and recovery system. So what I did is I designed an aircraft that can take off and land vertically, and I used two novelty approaches. So I designed this morphing wing structure that stays folded in during the vertical takeoff and landing and expands to full length during flight so that we can have a more centered base of the aircraft, which allows it to travel more efficiently. And I also designed a smart guidance system, which is basically a artificial intelligence-based network that autonomously controls the system and allows for a communication line between the actual aircraft and a computer-based system that has certain GPS coordinates throughout a flight path. So that was my research. Thank you.
I told you this was going to be good. So,
Good thing you let her speak.
when I read that, I was totally blown away, and I was like, I'm thinking that I'm watching something from a Nat Geo type of show, and I'm only nervous that you presented here because there might be operatives from other countries that were looking to get in on your technology. So, thank you so much for all you're doing. I know the bright future is going to be very bright for you, and you are a shining example of the support of a family and the support of a school community and how far you can grow. So, thank you very much. So let's take a picture right now.
Good thing you let her speak, because you wouldn't have done that justice.
Excellent. Any other discussion? Okay. Roll call.
Ms. Jodrey,
Yes.
Ms. Lent,
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta,
Yes.
Mr. Slade,
Yes.
Mr. Silikowski,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mr. Antono,
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Resolution 1 and 2 pass.
Superintendent's report.
So, this superintendent's report, I've asked Dr. Hoker to present us some information based upon one of our goals in the area of professional development. Having a strong, rich professional development program is the backbone of recruiting and supporting staff that can meet their goals and have greater career satisfaction. So I'm going to ask Dr. Hoker to speak to us about that and how that ties into our recruitment process and any openings that we have in the area of education.
Good evening. I'm going to start with just a staffing update. We have approximately 30 retirements and resignations for the 23-24 school year. We have 3 new sections at Madison Park Elementary School to incorporate the new housing that's going in that area and to prevent additional overflow. We have interviewed over 130 candidates in the last, I'll say, 15 days. We have attended, and when I say we have multiple, an elementary and a secondary interview committee and additional groups that interview for specialized positions. We've attended 3 job fairs and we have 1 more to go. We have done extensive recruiting and looking at, I can't even count the number of resumes that we've reviewed. We have filled with excellent candidates at least 15 positions already. We have 10 pending offers out there that we're waiting for confirmation, and we have many second interviews scheduled over the next week. Our recruiting looks very good. I don't want to jinx it right now. We are expecting a very large group of new teachers for the 23-24 school year. With all of the new hires, we have updated our mentor manual, and we will be hiring and training and assigning new mentors in June for those teachers so they can begin those relationships over the summer. The OBA, on the note of mentors, the OBA received a grant to develop mentors for support staff, and we're working with them, and I'm looking forward to partnering with them to provide additional resources and professional development for our support staff. In addition to going into our training that we provide, in addition to the mandatory training and some of those mandatory trainings that go on every year, our HIB, affirmative action, health and safety protocols. Throughout this year, we've provided targeted professional development opportunities, and some of the areas that we've provided opportunities include math and literacy at multiple grade levels, Project READ training, behavioral assessment, inclusion practices, DEI, SEL, mental health supports, which encompass multiple topics, technology, including multiple areas, including utilizing Teams, Clever, new technology in the classroom, including our new Promethean boards. We have targeted staff groups that have participated in threat assessment training, school safety, and reunification training. During our May PLC and our June 6th in-service day, all of our elementary staff will be introduced to our new Wonders Literacy program. Middle school ELA and social studies staff will be introduced to new programs in those areas. Our 6th and 7th grade teachers and our 8th and 9th grade teachers will be provided time for vertical articulation, and other staff will have a variety of workshops to choose from. Beginning July 17th, and we're very excited about this, we're going to be offering a series of summer workshops that all of our teachers can attend, but we also have a focus on our new hires that are coming in. These workshops will include, we have approximately 27 offerings: writing techniques, unpacking the curriculum and standards, executive functioning, digital assessments, IXL, Nearpod, OneDrive, OneNote, assisting students with building and maintaining relationships, creating a safe and brave space in the classroom, recognizing early signs of mental health issues with students, SEL for the classroom, becoming a world-class ICR pair, CPI training, best practices for social skills, communication with parents during open house, conferences, and beyond, disaffected students, meeting the needs of all students, gamify your classroom for higher engagement, motivating and connecting, the most effective ways to get to know your students, staying calm in stressful situations, best practices in ABA, best practices in inclusivity, data integration and management. Something that we had our board members participate in. They were provided an opportunity to observe one of our elementary data team meetings. This is directly related to the data integration and management. The board, this took place at Cooper Elementary School, one of our Title I buildings. The board observed the first 2 meetings of the day, which were kindergarten and grade 2. They were able to observe the use of technology and various assessments. Various assessment data systems utilized by the RTI team to ensure effective data-based decision-making. The student cases that were discussed presented various early intervention target areas, including math, reading, and behavior. Teachers, interventionists, the building principal, and counselor engaged in strategic problem-solving discussions and set goals for the intervention cycles. On that note, as a reminder, the ESSER Summer Bridge Academy is taking place again this summer. The parent information and letters will be going out soon, and they will be in the parent portal. They will be, information will be shared via text, email, and phone calls, so all of that information is going out. The deadline to register is May 17th. That will be all included in the letters. And lastly, through the partnership with Municipal Alliance, we hosted a parent workshop yesterday on drug awareness and prevention, which was attended by approximately 30 parents. We will be working this summer to plan a series of parent education workshops hosted through our new Family Academy Nights, formerly Parent University. The series will begin in September and continue throughout the year with workshops provided monthly. We will provide these dates in advance so that families can plan accordingly. We will provide the resources and update them on our website. And we will film when presenters allow us to do so. I know that's been a question by parents. If they're unable to attend, can we record? In some cases, presenters do not allow us to do that. And one last thing, I know I said lastly already. Our administrator PD teams are also attending multiple workshops. Recently, they attended a workshop through NJPSA, developing instructional supports, writing professional improvement plans, and setting and monitoring instructional goals. And we had a team that attended a conference Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this past weekend on brain-based learning and executive functioning. So all of those resources will be provided in turnkey workshops to our staff, and again, some of those things to our parents in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And does that cover progress towards goals, or is there anything else?
Yes, that'll continue. I just want to add in that we've had every administrator in the district is partnering with the county OEM and renewing their reunification training that started prior to COVID, and it'll be a 2-day event for everyone, and to walk through a reunification for any type of situation where we have to reunify students with their parents in a non-traditional school dismissal setting. And in partnership kind of with that, I was chosen and will be speaking on a panel of school administrators on school safety initiatives for the state coming forward, and that will be at the spring conference in Atlantic City.
Thank you. Any correspondence? Special committee reports?
Yes, we had a committee meeting about 2 weeks ago for the athletics. We had a bunch of coaches come out. They spoke on the safety issue because they would like to try to get more assistant coaches hired for some levels. I think it was a productive meeting. The board was pretty observant to what their needs were. I'd like to say that I think it was a very positive meeting, and I'd like to see that happen in the future as far as trying to get more assistant coaches hired for the sports needed. I'd like to see cheerleading become recognized as a sport, finally. I'd like to see the cheerleading coach get paid a little bit more than what, maybe matched what the men are making. And I'm just wondering here, thinking out of the box, is that something that could be added to the superintendent's goals for next year? Or does that not work like that?
I could touch base on a few of those topics. So one of the topics you're talking about, it takes place in negotiations. So the salary for a cheerleading coach, and it could be a male cheerleading coach too, not just doesn't have to be the current one. It takes place during the negotiation process. So as we head into that negotiations next year, that is something that if the board feels strongly about, and you have the will of the board, that's something that they can do to bring that up. I think the making cheerleading, which I agree with you, there's more, not that a sport requires injuries, but there's more injuries in cheerleading than most of the full contact sports that are out there. These girls and young men, depending on the program, are working hard, and you know, it should be a sport, but that is an NJSAA decision. And because of the work you did on the committee and some of the feedback we got from the OBA and the coaches, my team has worked with Mr. Domino to put together a plan to reach some of your goals starting next year.
Sounds good, thank you. I'm actually surprised that, considering how long it's actually been and the state of the past board, that cheerleading was never pushed for to become a recognized sport. I'm also surprised that they never vouched for higher pay for the coaches. So it's good to hear about the positive news, and I'm looking forward to the progress that we're going to make.
I'm going to provide the summary of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion meeting that we had because our committee chairman had dental work and can't speak. So we met on April 11th. I think it was a good meeting. It was our first meeting. We began by talking about things we could do to provide a framework for a multi-pronged approach in the district. The first thing we're going to do is thinking about assemblies for students regarding DEI. Also include, bullying, HIB, being allies, things like that. We are going to get speakers for Parent University on various topics related to DEI and schools. There'll be presentations around HIB to students in classrooms by trained staff members. And we're going to be creating questionnaires so we can poll teachers, paraprofessionals, related service providers, students, and families from their different perspectives and provide us with information to kind of let us move forward with what direction we should be going. Also, Mr. Cittadino said that he will be providing us with HIB data so we can look and see if we see different trends and different aspects of things that we need to focus on.
And we have a follow-up Zoom meeting on that topic as well.
Yes, and we also had a policy meeting last Tuesday. It was actually a kind of a special policy meeting. It was prompted by a parent's concern over the pre-K registration at Glen School. So we kind of springboard off of policy 5111, which is the eligibility of resident and non-resident students. We actually are going to form a new policy, I guess an amendment to that policy. We came to an agreement that we're going to change the 5 steps on the enrollment process, as well as the lottery system. It seemed to be an issue, something that was been overlooked. I will say that I had mentioned before, committee meetings are, the Board of Ed meetings are important, but I believe the committee meetings are just as important for the simple fact that we had administration, we had board members, and we also had parents and people of the community who actually participated in coming up with a solution. I implore every parent, guardian, participant, members of the community to come to these committee meetings. They're non-threatening, they're informal. When I got onto the board, I knew one of our obligations was to set policies. And it was actually pretty gratifying to actually set a policy they'll be able to use going forward and to manage it. So come to these committee meetings because they do make a difference. They're small venues, and you can get a lot done, a lot accomplished. And our next next policy meeting will be next Tuesday, May 9th as well, as a follow-up. And Chris, when are we going to have the first reading of that?
The first reading of the new policy will probably be at the regular May meeting.
Okay.
And we'll discuss it at the May 9th public portion of the meeting.
Great, thank you.
Any other special committee reports? Okay, moving on to hearing of the residents on agenda items only.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jennifer. We are new to Old Bridge. We've been here for about a year. I wanted to, I left my notes. I wanted to say a few words about professional development and trainings for teachers, and I wanted to go on record. I moved my children out of New York State to New Jersey for a better education, and there are things that I wanted to avoid. Unfortunately, when we moved here and we started, the first 3 months of our kindergarten were a nightmare because the teacher and the staff of the school didn't have the proper training that is needed. My son has sensory processing disorder. He's sensory seeking. He's fidgety. He doesn't have any academic issues, but he can't sit. He's always on the go. He's on the move. Transition from, moving from New York to New Jersey, going from a private preschool where he knew what school is, he knew the rules of the classroom. He understood all of that. But the transition period, it's kindergarten. The teachers are there to set the stepping stone for these children for their future education, as well as assist them in the transition into the school system. The school staff and the teacher was not equipped, and it spiraled. And I'm not going to go into the details of what happened, but I do urge that no matter what type of school, and I understand there's 12 schools here, I understand that each school caters to certain populations, and I totally understand that. But I think there are so many kids coming into the school system with sensory processing, with ADHD, with autism, whatever it is, and the school staff and the teachers are not equipped to deal with children like that. And they shouldn't be, okay, we're going to put this kid in McDivitt, we're going to put him in Voorhees, whatever the school is. Every teacher needs to understand that strictness, rigidness, it doesn't work for all kids. Not all kids can function like that. And at a kindergarten level, the teacher should understand the flexibility and the necessity of being there for this child, whatever their needs are. If you don't understand that this child needs flex seating, whatever the case is, ask someone, right? We have SEPTA, there's so many great things that are here that the school that my son went to, they didn't care. Luckily, Dr. Tui understood my situation, removed my son, and he's great where he's at, he's flourished. But no 5-year-old needs to feel like they don't want to go to school. No 5-year-old needs to feel different from the rest of the class because they have a cushion seat that is helping them with their fidgetness. No child should sit in that classroom and be called stupid by other children, because that is how my son felt. The teacher made him know that he's different from the other kids because he has a cushion seat, because he can't sit. There's 3 tables. My son sat by himself. That's absolutely unacceptable for a 5-year-old. And when you guys are doing and implementing all of these trainings for the teachers, please have an ABA come in and teach all of them across the board how to look for signs so that a child has sensory and the teacher can understand what this child needs so that he doesn't have to switch 3 schools within the 3-month period, and he can continue in that school and in that classroom and make friends and transition into the school system. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Mr. Zedino, did you want to comment or?
No, I will take that information and share it with Dr. Hoker and Dr. Tui, and we'll review the concerns that was brought up to us by this parent as far as the professional development for our staff.
Thank you very much. Policy, we'll be voting on policy, resolution 1, approving bylaws and policies. Can I have a motion?
Slater move.
Jovial second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Lent,
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta,
No.
Mr. Slade,
Yes.
Mr. Solikowski,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mr. Antono,
Yes.
Ms. Jodry,
Yes.
Mr. Giordano.
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
Curriculum and professional development. items 1 through 7. Can I have a motion?
D'Antuno will move.
Jody will second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Marqueta?
No.
Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Silikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Ms. D'Antono?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 7.
Finance, items 1 through 13. Can I have a motion? I'll move it.
I'll
Jody will-
second it.
So, okay, Solakowski second. Any discussion?
I'd like to move number 8 for voting purposes. Separate it.
Okay, anything else? Okay, so we'll discuss Resolution 8.
All right, just want to vote yes on that. That's it, voting purposes.
So we're gonna... Yeah, I'm confused.
Yeah, so I separated it
Yeah.
for voting purposes. I didn't want to discuss it unless you want to discuss it.
Okay. No, we could just separate for voting purposes, so how are we gonna...
So we're voting on 1 through 7 and 9 through 13.
Yep.
So, Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Silikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Ms. D'Antono?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Nope.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 7 and 9 through 13 pass. Now on number 8, are we voting or are we having discussion?
Just
voting?
Just voting.
Yep.
So on item number 8, Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Silikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Ms. D'Antono?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Resolution 8 passes.
Athletics, items 1 and 2. Can I have a motion?
Slater move.
D'Antuno will second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Silikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Ms. D'Antono?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes, and thank you, coaches.
Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Resolution 1 and 2.
Non-certificated personnel office, item number 1. Can I have a motion?
D'Antuno will second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Silikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Ms. D'Antono?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
No.
Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
Non-certificated personnel operational, items 1 through 3. Can I have a motion?
D'Antuno will move.
Jody will second.
Separating number 1 for discussion.
Okay. Any other discussion or separation? Okay. Mr. Solka?
Okay, we have quite a few retirees this month. I believe 11. Thomas Tote Field Maintenance, 17 years. Ann Dealey, paraprofessional, Old Bridge High School, 23 years. Cynthia, if I mispronounce your name, I'm sorry. Cynthia Hasmick Hallis, Carl Sandburg Middle School. Agnes Strong, Southwood, Special Ed. She has 41 years, more than I had 36. Roma Yanalevich, thank you, Mr. Citadino. Carl Sandburg, Science, 23 years. Deborah Convalis, Glenn, she was preschool, 33 years. Faye Bernstein, Voorhees Guidance, she was 13 years. Cameron Campbell, Jonas Salk Middle School, Social Studies, 18 years. Marianne Russo, Glenn Speech, 17 years. Natalie Mataloni, did I get that right? Got it. Venna, that's her last name, I guess. Miller Kindergarten, 21 years, and Georgia Scott, Voorhees, grade 1, 30 years, a total of 261 years. The board members would like to wish you a lot of luck with your new careers, which is one door closes, another one opens, and good luck again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Roll call?
Mr. Solikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Ms. D'Antonio?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Resolutions 1, 2, and 3 passed.
Non-certificated personnel, other items 1 through 7. Can I have a motion?
Slater move.
D'Antonio will second.
Any discussion? Okay, roll call.
Ms. D'Antonio?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
Yes.
Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Solikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 7 pass.
All right, sorry about that. Here's the long one. Certificated personnel items 1 through 53. 53. And we have an administrative correction. Dr. Hooker, did you want to go over it?
We have a change to resolution number 3. It's revision of dates. Staff member actually returned earlier than expected.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Separating number 14 and 23 for discussion and voting purposes.
Okay. I'll second it. All right, Mr. Solikowski?
Number 14, I'm going to be voting no on. And number 23, move the board approve the following certified staff as eligible to serve elementary substitute principals. Do they get paid on a daily basis of $107 or just when they're working?
They get paid the $107 when they're filling in as a substitute.
Okay.
Just on those days.
Okay, you answered my question, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Any other discussion? Okay, voting on number 14. Yep.
Yeah, so let's do this. So we'll vote on number 14 first, then number 23, and then everything else. All right, so on number 14, Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
No.
Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Solikowski?
No.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Ms. D'Antonio?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
So resolution 14 passes. Now on resolution 23, Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
No.
Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Solikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Ms. D'Antonio?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
So resolutions 23 passes. Now everything else. Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
No.
Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Solikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Ms. D'Antonio?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Everything else passes.
Thank you. Non-certificated personnel transportation, item number 1. Can I have a motion?
Weber move.
D'Antonio will second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
No.
Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Solikowski?
No.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Ms. D'Antonio?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Resolutions 1 and 2 pass.
Transportation items 1 through 15. Can I have a motion?
Slater move.
Jodry will second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Marqueta?
No.
Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Silikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Ms. D'Antono?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 15 passed.
Supplies, equipment, and services. Items 1 through 26. Can I have a motion? I'll make a motion.
D'Antuno, a second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Silikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber? Ms. D'Antono?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
No.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 26 passed.
Miscellaneous items 1 through 5. Can I have a motion?
Jodry will move.
D'Antuno, a second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Silikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Ms. D'Antono?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
No.
Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 5 pass.
Board secretary and board business. Items 1 through 14. Can I have a motion?
D'Antuno, move.
Webb is second.
Any discussion? I want to discuss item number 4. So it says, move the board readopt all policies currently in effect for the next school year, and that includes the policy we discussed about pre-K. So,
Right. No, it doesn't include the new policy that has not been produced yet. So the only, there is no policy, there is no regulation. It's just you're keeping things as they are for the moment, but that policy is being generated, which will change that system.
yeah, I know, but it says it's not currently in effect now.
Correct. It is
Okay.
not currently in effect.
Okay, so I disagree. Okay, that's it. Any other discussion? Okay, so we'll vote on number 4.
So this is a separate vote on number 4. Mr. Silikowski?
I didn't separate that.
No, Mr.
We're
Giordano did.
voting.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Ms. D'Antono?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
No.
Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
No.
So resolution 4 passes. And everything else, Mr. Silikowski?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Ms. D'Antono?
Yes.
Ms. Jodry?
Yes.
Ms. Lent?
Yes.
Mr. Marqueta?
No.
Mr. Slade?
Yes.
Mr. Giordano?
No for 9 and yes for the rest.
Resolutions 1 through 14, less minus 4 passes.
Thank you, and now we'll move on to hearing of the residents on any school district issue.
Little short here. Hello, can you hear me okay? Good evening. I'm here to actually talk and ask, I'm here to ask the district to actually apply for the, I'm sorry, oh, I'm sorry, my name's Alexis. I'm a resident of Old Bridge. I have 2 children. I have a 15-year-old and a 4-year-old. And what I'm speaking to tonight is to ask the district to apply for the pre-K expansion program, basically bringing universal pre-K to the district. But before I go into all that, I actually really want to say that I really love the Old Bridge School District. I moved here, I think, in 2015. We were renting for a while, and when we were looking for a home a couple of years ago to move to permanently, I really insisted on staying in Old Bridge because of our education system, that my oldest is thriving and doing well in, my 4-year-old will be going into our public school system, and I am happy to be a resident here, and I'm really grateful to teachers and all the staff. But as I learned recently that we have been eligible for universal pre-K here, and yet we have not applied for it. And when I learned that information, I was like, wait, this is not acceptable to me, because universal pre-K, I believe every child has a right to quality, research-based curriculum, full day, tuition-free. I know we have a small, like, tuition-based pre-K program, but I believe that our children are disadvantaged without this opportunity here. I previously, before moving to Old Bridge, I lived in New Brunswick, and my oldest, who's in a high school now, actually had the opportunity to participate in New Brunswick's their pre-K program. And they have a mixed delivery system where they contract with private daycares throughout the city, and my oldest was able to take part in their wonderful pre-K program while I was in graduate school myself, and they did really well, and I found it was a huge benefit to their social, emotional, and educational development, and made them really prepared for when they entered the public educational system. I think it's hard to argue the benefits of pre-K, besides the social, emotional benefits. You know, students who have access to pre-K are more likely to graduate, go to college, or less likely to be incarcerated. We have a decreased need of special education services, probably, you know, due to the supports that are put into place at the pre-K level. Helps working parents in the community, you know, by having access to universal pre-K. So I feel that it's really important that every student district has the opportunity to participate in that. Other districts, I know there's been questions maybe about concerns about budgeting and so on. Other districts around us who've had similar budget issues and challenges as Old Bridge have been able to apply and successfully implement universal pre-K in their districts. So I believe there is a huge want, there is a huge need. I didn't know until recently that we were eligible and have just not applied for it. It's a huge missed opportunity. And I'm reaching out to other parents into the community as well, because I think if more people knew that this is just something we haven't acted upon, I think that people would be pretty, you know, upset and frustrated, because it's just again, to reiterate, it's a missed opportunity. I think if you look at the wait list, I'm sure there's a huge wait list for the tuition-based preschool. If you look at our social media on Facebook, you probably see parents on any given day asking about available preschools in the area, and they're really surprised. There's many families coming from New York who don't realize that we don't offer preschool here in the district. And I'm trying to reach out to parents and trying to really advocate and bring this, because I think it's something that our community is really lacking. And so I'm asking the board to not only create an early education committee to explore on how to apply and implement the program, but to actually move forward and apply for the children in the district. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Andrew Lewis, OBEA. I was just trying to follow along on the agenda. Mr. Maurer, are you able to repeat back the vote for Board Secretary and Board Business? Number 9, motion to adopt the NJSBA Code of Ethics for the 23-24 school year.
That was voted, that passed the vote.
Do you have the breakdown who voted yes or no?
Mr. Marqueta voted no. Everyone else voted yes, and Mr. Giordano also voted no.
Okay, so just want to confirm that the board president voted no to adopt the Code of Ethics for next school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I think you guys are going to get to know me pretty well. The second item that is not on the agenda that I wanted to discuss is the wonderful school lunches that are being served to the school, to the children. I would like to have a conversation, sit down, maybe speak to the vendor about improving the school lunches. Now, I did a little poll last night within the 24 hours. I was just completely ripped apart by parents, which doesn't really bother me. My concern is what is being put into the food. I understand that I have a child who's neurodivergent, but I also have a child that is not. There's a lot of children in the school, and the food is affecting personally my child's behavior, right? Which I know, and a lot of parents said, why don't you send them, pack him a lunch? I do all of that. Don't put money on his lunch card. But Mom, I wanted to try something new. My son eats 6 foods, right? So he's eating the food. He's added veggie nuggets to his diet, which is great for me. But what's in them? This child can't sit, right? And going back to what I was saying before, there's kids that are coming in that are neurodivergent, right? What are we feeding them? Why is there so much crap in the school lunches? There's other parents who have reached out to me who are in other school districts who offer the healthy lunches. Now, I'm not asking you to serve them fresh fruits and salads and accommodate my son's dietary needs, right? I'm talking about all kids just in general who deserve to eat a healthy meal, and the ingredients and the lunches that are being served right now are not good for them, and maybe we can have a conversation with Aramark. I know that they're here. And see if they have an alternative that is a little bit better. Because if other school districts are able to do better on the school lunches for their kids, then maybe in Old Bridge we should too.
In a second. Anyone else? Okay, would you like to speak on that, please, or Mr. Mayor? Okay. All right. I'll close the hearing of the residents. If you want to talk about the school.
I would suggest that you exchange information. The resident asked to have a conversation with the representative of Aramark about the ingredients and so forth. I think that's a better place to begin, to have a conversation, open dialogue. And if then after that conversation that you're still not satisfied with some of the information and the ingredients that are provided, then I suggest you bring it back to either myself, Mr. Mara, or the board as an entirety.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to.
Can I just
yes.
also address the universal pre-K?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Under the universal pre-K, there you go. I just want to let you know that we do an assessment each year to see as the application comes out. Now, being an S2 district and having unknown funds that are going to be removed from the district each year, it has caused some limitations as to what we can do to address that. Some of the funds that you do get from the grant for universal pre-K do not address all the costs. Significant cost that would be a district of this size is we are a almost complete busing district. It would have a huge financial impact on the busing and transportation that we must provide to all the pre-K students that wouldn't be met by funds from the grant. But I would like to have you exchange information with Dr. Tui in the back, and he has information from that assessment, and he can share that with you. And then again, same information. If you have more questions, you can bring back to Dr. Tui or myself or the board. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to move on to old business.
Yes, I just wanted to mention something. I was one of the board members that was invited to the, thank God Dr. Hoker mentioned it, I forgot what it was called, the data integration meeting. I just want to applaud the process that I witnessed. I know a lot of parents or guardians think that their children can fall in between the cracks, which is possible, but the process that I witnessed was very impressive. There was a full team of interventionists, teachers, principals. There was about 10 professionals there that were evaluating one student at a time. I thought the process was great, very detail-oriented. I learned a lot from it, and it definitely showed that they take each child individually, step by step, to come up with a resolution, identify any situations that they had. It was just very impressive, so thank you.
I had the pleasure of attending the same meeting, and the thing that I think is so great about it for so many parents is normally the only time they know that something may go awry if they get a phone call or a note from the school, or they may only find out when they have a very bad report card, whatever the case may be. This is a program where they're proactively reaching out, trying to identify kids who are struggling and get them back on course as soon as possible, and it seems to be done methodically, professionally, and I think it's a great step forward.
Thank
Well-
you. Yep.
Last week, before the agenda meeting, some of us from the board went to the send-off for the indoor percussion show. That was awesome. And then I was part of the group that welcomed them back last night. Cheered the bus. It was grateful to the police department and the fire department to have the sirens blaring. Not only were the kids excited to come back and proud of the work that they had done, but their families. So tremendous effort, not only to the teachers and students themselves, but as any of us with kids knows that it's a family effort. So we have hardworking students and families in all of our programs. So it's been grateful to be part of all that. And I know I'm going to go on a limb and speak for some of the board members. If you guys, if the schools have events that they want us to come to, please send us emails. We like being part of it. So thank you for all the invitations.
Okay, any other old business? Okay, I just wanted to talk about the vote that just happened before about adopting the Code of Ethics. This is my 4th year on the board, and yeah, it's good. We all want to be ethical, but things that I've heard about the School Ethics Commission and things that I've experienced, it's a very bureaucratic and unnecessary thing that people with personal vendettas use to try to get people kicked off the board. And as long as you don't do anything illegal or anything that harms people, actually harms people, then yeah, it's very unnecessary. And as for pre-K, we'll look into that. I've heard good things about it, so we'll see. Mr. Cedeno gave a good explanation about that, so thank you. Okay, and moving on to new business.
Well, this is really not necessarily new business. We talked a couple of months ago about potentially trying to consolidate all the recognition in one place for all the various people who are retiring, and they're listed throughout the agenda. If they're in transportation, if they're certified, they're certified and uncertified, and it's kind of really broken up. It really, I think, should be part of the follow the the two things of recognition, because I can't think of much more recognition for people serving in this district for years and getting read off that way, as opposed to putting that as after whatever the specific. We had 2 items tonight, and then something along the line of considering the board to consider doing all the recognition at one place at the beginning of the meeting. Just a suggestion.
What's the process? Can we make that into a motion to adjust the agenda?
It's just an administrative function, I believe, and I think it's a good suggestion. We could just do that.
You can.
What? Yep. So we'll do that in the future, have all retirements at the front of the agenda under recognition. I just want to continue on to the topics that were brought up in our old business and new business. One of the things I should say, especially with universal pre-K, is that when I became superintendent, we didn't even have full-day kindergarten, and I understand the value of it. And at that time, a lot of districts didn't have it. Now we've seen a lot of districts move towards universal pre-K. Again, I think it has its value, and it's something that I should have mentioned before too, that it is in our strategic plan to have an assessment done of our districting and the way our students are distributed, and looking to see if in the future, which hopefully being an S2 district will not be that harmful within the after this 1 more year, then it'll be more fruitful in our plan. So looking forward to that. And when you talk about the data team meetings, I want to thank again Dr. Calandra for all the work that she's done in bringing the MTSS system of supports in for our teams, and has really reinvigorated that program, and specifically the teams that you witnessed at Cooper School. I'm glad to see that the visit went well.
Any other new business?
One more thing, just to reiterate what Mr. Slade said earlier. The committee meetings have been very productive, and so if you have a concern and you want to see a little bit more action happen to it and more discussion rather than coming up here and speaking, the committee meetings are the place to go. I apologize to the CARE committee. My calendar did not allow one this month. I'm going to try and get one for next month. But I invite community members, parents, students even, come to the committee meetings be a voice, advocate, because we've seen change just in the past few months alone from those committee meetings.
I forgot to say one thing. All the board members should have received their invitation today for the Old Bridge High School graduation ceremony taking place on June 20th. The high school, Ms. Olson, is anticipating your response to that, so they can prepare as soon as possible. Thank you.
Okay, any other new business? Okay, I have a few more things. Make sure you come to our budget meeting on May 9th. It's once a year. We love your input, love your comments. Excuse me, May 4th. Agenda sessions, May 9th. Regular meetings, May 16th. So hope you could join all 3 meetings. And as many of you know, it's primary season, so please do your research on candidates. I just happen to be on the ballot for General Assembly and would appreciate any support and questions you may have of the process or anything. And even if some races are unopposed, just make sure your voices are heard so we could have a high turnout. Thank you. Any other new business? Any other new business? Okay, we will not be going to executive session, so we will adjourn from here. Second?
D'Antuono will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. We are adjourned at 8:36 p.m. Thank you and have a nice day.